One or two people need to go. Either he needs to fire his agent or he needs to fire himself, but somebody's got to go.
In the NBA, $100 million sounds like forever money. It's the kind of wealth that should secure your family for 5 generations. But in this league, $100 million can disappear faster than a 20-point lead in the fourth quarter. Statistics show that 60% of NBA players are broke within 5 years of retirement. Think about that. You spend your whole life reaching the pinnacle of human athleticism, you sign a contract that makes you richer than 99% of the planet, and by your 35th birthday, you're checking your bank balance with a knot in your stomach. This is how NBA players lost millions after the league.
Shown that they're going to try to blitz on Luka as much as they can. Steal by Marcus Smart.
Joe Smith. Joe Smith entered the NBA as the number 1 overall pick in 1995. He was expected to be a franchise cornerstone. Instead, he became the ultimate journeyman. Over 16 seasons, he suited up for 12 different franchises, including the Warriors, Timberwolves, 76ers, and Cavaliers. While his salary remained high, his lifestyle set him up for financial failure. Every time he was traded or signed a new mid-level exception contract, he bought a home. Joe's primary financial mistake was treating luxury primary residences like liquid investment assets. Each time Joe moved, he faced massive closing costs, realtor fees, and moving expenses. On a $3 million home, those fees alone could burn $200,000 before a single mortgage payment was made. The major challenge was large estates require burn capital, landscaping, security, pool maintenance, and massive property tax bills. Because he moved every 18 months, he was often paying these costs on multiple properties simultaneously, while waiting for the previous ones to sell. Joe was buying at the height of the mid-2000s housing bubble. When the 2008 crash hit, his portfolio of luxury homes lost significant value. He found himself underwater, owing more on his mortgages than the houses were worth. By the time Joe retired in 2011, the combination of a high-burn lifestyle, a costly divorce, and a string of poorly timed real estate flips had liquidated his savings. The man who had once signed a $36 million contract found himself looking for ways to bridge a $150,000 debt gap. His story eventually gained national attention when he appeared on Alex Rodriguez's show Back in the Game, where he worked to rebuild his finances through coaching and financial discipline. Eddie Curry. Despite earning over $70 million during his decade-long NBA career, Eddie Curry became one of the league's most sobering cautionary tales regarding the predatory trap. His story is a complex web of familial pressure, lifestyle inflation, and a devastating lack of financial literacy. At the height of his financial distress, Curry made a decision that would eventually dismantle his fortune. He took out a personal loan for $570,000 from a firm called All Pro Sports and Entertainment. While the principal amount was manageable for an NBA star, the terms were lethal. The loan carried a staggering 84% interest rate, but at the time, Curry likely felt he had no other options. He was desperate for immediate liquidity, trapped between the need to maintain an ultra-luxurious lifestyle and the mounting pressure to provide for a large circle of relatives and friends. So, due to the compounding interest, he found himself in a hole he couldn't dig out of. Even with a multi-million-dollar salary, the math simply didn't work in his favor. Curry's downfall wasn't just due to one bad loan. It was fueled by a village of dependents. Like many young athletes who come into sudden wealth, he felt a deep-seated obligation to act as a primary provider for his extended family. This, combined with a keeping up with the Joneses mentality of professional sports, led to a monthly burn rate that exceeded his take-home pay. By the time Curry realized the gravity of the paperwork he had signed, he had effectively signed away his future. The interest payments alone devoured his liquid assets, leaving him as a prime example of how quickly a professional athlete can transition from a $70 million fortune to financial ruin. Antoine Walker. Antoine Walker is perhaps the most famous case. He didn't just spend it on cars and jewelry. Of course, he did have a collection of Maybachs. He actually tried to be a mogul. He invested heavily in real estate in Chicago right before the 2008 crash. He used his own personal wealth to guarantee the loans. When the market collapsed, the banks didn't go after the business. They simply went after him. And $108 million was gone with the wind. Vin Baker. Vin was a 4-time All-Star and Olympic gold medalist who earned nearly $100 million. Just like other NBA stars in this video, he couldn't hold on to his finances, but his reason was a little different. Unlike some who lost it to greed, Baker lost his finances to alcoholism. He would drink to numb the pressure of his contracts. His addiction led to a loss of focus, bad investments, and eventually the loss of his home and his restaurant. Financial ruin is often a symptom of a deeper personal struggle. Baker is a rare redemption story. He's now sober and an assistant coach for the Milwaukee Bucks. Jason Caffy. Jason Caffy is famous as a 2-time champion with the Chicago Bulls and earned over $34 million. But that's not the only thing he's famous for. He is also famous as a man with several children to cater for. Caffy fathered 10 children with 8 different women. When his NBA career ended in 2003, his income vanished, but his legal obligations didn't. He was hit with astronomical child support payments that were calculated based on his peak $5 million a year salary. The fact is, the court system doesn't care if you're retired. If you don't adjust your lifestyle and legal commitments while you're at the top, the downward adjustment will bankrupt you in months. And that was exactly what happened to Caffy. Derek Coleman. Derek Coleman was the overall pick in 1990 and earned $91 million. He didn't lose his money at a strip club or spend it on items he didn't need. He lost it trying to save Detroit. He invested millions into Coleman's Corner, a shopping mall and real estate project that aimed at revitalizing downtown neighborhoods. When the 2008 recession hit, the project collapsed, and he was left with a $4.7 million debt. Good intentions are not a business strategy. Investing in your community is noble, but high-risk urban development can swallow an athlete's fortune whole. It's easy to blame a con artist or a bad advisor. It's much harder to blame a heart of gold. Some players don't lose their millions to greed. They lose them to a hero complex, the desperate need to save the city they came from. They invest in the neighborhood, the local mall, and the family. Shawn Kemp. Shawn Kemp was a 6-time All-Star and one of the most explosive dunkers in history. In the late 90s, he signed a $107 million contract with the Cleveland Cavaliers. Adjusting for inflation today, that's nearly $200 million. Kemp's downfall wasn't a single bad business deal. It was a death by 1,000 cuts. He fathered at least 7 children with 6 different women. By the time his career ended in 2003, his monthly child support obligations were reportedly over $60,000 a month. As Kemp's weight increased, his performance decreased. He was eventually suspended for drug use, which triggered morality clauses in his contracts and endorsements. Things were already bad, but actually got worse. In 2005 and 2006, he was arrested multiple times for drug possession. High-priced defense attorneys in multiple states began eating away at his remaining millions. Kemp eventually had to file for bankruptcy. He famously became a cautionary tale of the peak problem, living a lifestyle designed for a $100 million superstar while your actual income has dropped to zero. Shawn Kemp didn't just lose his money, he lost his mobility. He was trapped in a cycle of court dates and child support payments that were calculated when he was the king of Seattle, not a retired veteran with a mortgage he couldn't afford. Dennis Rodman. Not every broke retired NBA star is a financial crisis because they were extravagant. Some simply worked with the wrong people, and Dennis Rodman is one. As one of the most famous athletes in history, Rodman earned millions, but filed for bankruptcy around his Hall of Fame induction. He wasn't just a victim of his lifestyle, rather, he was a victim of Peggy Ann Fulford, a financial advisor who claimed to be a Harvard graduate. She took control of his bank accounts and used his money to pay for her own luxury cars and her kids' tuition. It was basically her lifestyle that made him bankrupt. Many players aren't spending their money, but they are being robbed because they don't know how to read a financial statement. From Kemp to Baker, the lesson is clear. Wealth isn't about the size of your check. It's about the strength of your systems. Most of us will never see a $100 million contract, but we all face the same traps: lifestyle creep, bad advice, and the hero complex. The question is, when your jersey comes off, will you be ready? Which of these financial ruins do you consider the worst? Kindly tell us in the comment section below.